Hi everyone, it's me and welcome to the Route 66 video. This video follows the Cannonball Run video that was just completed literally like an hour ago with me and my brother. I had been driving through the night, so even I'm surprised that I have energy to do this. Now this sign may say end of the trail, but it's the beginning of the trail for me, and I'll be traveling the whole route over 2,000 miles starting from right here. Here, by the way, is the Santa Monica Pier, the ceremonial endpoint to Route 66. The actual endpoint is located a few blocks northeast of here, since there are technical requirements for being part of a U.S. route, and the pier did not qualify. The Santa Monica Pier is the terminus of the famous Santa Monica Boulevard, which is the last leg of Route 66. This passes right through Hollywood, and I definitely felt it. I walked past several disheveled people talking to themselves. I figured they must have been method actors practicing soliloquies. Anyways, I'm here with my brother. Since I had driven across California overnight by myself, my brother was now at the wheel. The plan was for me to use my paper map and guide him out of LA adhering to the historic route. However, I fell asleep, and since it's really hard to put this kind of thing into the GPS, he eventually lost the route and just used the interstate. So yeah, this is not the definitive guide to Route 66. For this video, I'll be prioritizing the things I think are cool, which are mostly geological anomalies and ruins of past civilizations, in this case America before the 1950s. I'm taking on this trip in a Tesla Model Y, a perfect representation of the cutting edge in technology, forced to visit the forgotten past. The first thing we see after leaving the LA area are mountains. We're heading north and gaining elevation. As we make our way through the San Bernardino and San Gabriel mountain ranges, the humidity starts to go away and things gradually become less green. We are, by the way, back on Route 66 since many parts of the route coincide with today's interstate system, such as with this stretch of I-15 here, and you'll see that a lot as we travel the route. As we pass the Victorville Hesperia area, Route 66 separates once again and goes up this meandering, dusty road towards Barstow. We opt, however, for the faster, newer, more direct dusty road and stay on I-15, determined to go back and experience everything we missed on Google Street View when we got home. Eventually, we see Barstow on the horizon like an oasis in the desert. However, this oasis came in the form of an outlet mall. I had been asleep but start to wake up as we go into town. I'm in a complete daze. I'm not sure what's going on at this point. So we're now in Barstow, California. This is a mere 130 miles into the estimated 2,100-mile trip. Our first order of business was to find the supercharger in what felt like a maze of strip malls. This took much longer than it should have. However, after a few minutes and consulting with a security guard, we finally make it to what is basically a save point for a Tesla. It was really sunny and I was surprised by how hot it was. I knew I was in the desert, but damn. And though my brother and I weren't normally baseball cap wearers, we put them on for our safety as we embarked on a pilgrimage to a famed California institution. After a few minutes of walking, we locate the fabled landmark and pick up the pace as we start to see a crowd gather. This was my first time having In-N-Out and I had to see what the hype was about. And I must say it is a beautifully presented burger. Furthermore, all the bites were uniform and tasty. Did it blow me away? No, but in all fairness, there's only so much blowing a burger can do. After we leave Barstow, we get onto I-40 East and back onto Route 66. as the route coincided with the interstate, something we'll see many times again. In order to adhere to the portions of the old Route 66 that remain, you would have to look for interstate signs that say Historic Route 66. I recommend getting a map like this set I got off of Amazon for about $15 from Ghost Town Press. We're now on the historic Route 66 after taking exit 18 towards our first stop. Along the way, we pass Newberry Springs, a Route 66 landmark where all that remains are just a handful of dusty buildings. This stretch of Route 66 goes southeast before paralleling I-40, and here we see I-40 on our left as it gradually gets further away. The Tesla was doing well. In Barstow, we charged past 90% since we had to walk a while to get to the In-N-Out. The AC was blasting as the outside temperature read 100 degrees. We were in the desert, baby. And I must say the Tesla never felt all that cool. On the way there, we passed the Ludlow Coffee Shop, a famous Route 66 landmark, which is still in operation today. Ludlow was the last little pocket of civilization before we drove further away to our first destination. Hey all, so I'm here at the historic Route 66. We're gonna take the road to Amboy. Hopefully that'll be open right now. That's I-40 over there. The road that replaced this one here, Route 66, as you can see, is very sparsely used now. Very little traffic on it. We're here to do an experiment to see if this modern technology with our Tesla Model Y that we just used to do the cannonball run can actually do Route 66. I mean, honestly, it most likely will, because the major cities that I-40 and Route 66 go by are the same. What you see behind me is the volcanic fields. I kind of forgot the specific name. I'll put it right in the description over here. It's 91 degrees right now, so it's pretty hot, but we're looking forward to an exciting trip. And hey, look, we're going 66 miles per hour on Route 66. Now that's irony. Anyhow, we're headed towards the Amboy crater. This is a dormant cinder cone volcano that stretches to just under 1,000 feet in elevation. There's a trail to the rim at the top, and that's where we were headed. We passed more lava fields on the way there and are amazed at the geological history before our eyes. The Amboy crater is estimated to be about 80,000 years old, and we were seeing the remnants of what was once intense volcanic activity. It's enough to make you stare in wonder. After another 15 minutes or so, we make it to the trailhead, with the Amboy crater finally in sight. What strikes me the most about being out here is how quiet it is. It's 100 degrees out. We weren't going to hike this, but then we thought, if we die, we die like real men. And this might be dumb. Anyway, we're here at Amboy Crater along Route 66. No one here, 100-degree day, middle of September, but we're giving it a try. Where'd it go? There it is. Over there. I lost it again. Right there. Oh, there it is. Cool. Desert creature, that's cool.
How's it going, Anthony? What's happening?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty hot. Kind of weird juxtaposition. I regret not changing out of my Cole Haan shoe, but I'm trying to make it work. Yeah, having fun, enjoying Route 66.
Yeah, okay, this is the Amboy crater. It is 100 degrees outside, so hot actually.
As we set off, the crater looked really far away, and it was a bit daunting considering how exposed we were to the hot conditions. It's about a 4-mile round trip to get to the base of the crater, and obviously even more distance to get to the rim on top. After a good while, we eventually have the entirety of the crater in sight, and it was honestly intimidating. There's about a 400-foot climb to the rim from the base. I'm starting to get sweaty. I'm starting to feel the heat a little. We got plenty of water. I'm more worried about my electronics frying more than me personally. You have to circle around to the right in order to access the trail to the rim, and from there you can either take the trail directly to the rim or go to the center of the crater. Don't wear dress shoes like I'm doing now. Honestly, I wanted to put on my trail runners, but he was like, let's go, man. Time to waste.
All right, we're at the top of this Amboy crater in 100-degree heat. We really are living life to the edge. And to see this bottom of a crater.
One beautiful ass viewpoint from the Amboy crater rim. Once at the top, I could do nothing but stare in admiration at the beautiful and vast stretches of ancient volcanic fields to all sides of us. It really felt like being on another planet. We're on our way back, thankfully. And honestly, there was never an issue with the human, but I am worried about the electronics. Just hoping that Tesla will be okay. After what felt like a long time, we finally arrived back at the Tesla, happy in the knowledge that it had not burst into flames. So in terms of not leaving us stranded in the desert, the Tesla has my respect. You win this round, Elon. Here we have the famous Roy's Motel and Cafe.
What's so famous about it?
I don't know. Oh, and there's a pile of trash. Okay, continuing on our Route 66 journey. We're gonna go charge now in Needles, California. Yeah, well, I think we could take 66 the whole way, but I'm not sure. I'll have to check.
Now turn left onto Holbrook Road.
Alright, well, it looks like 66 is close here, so we're gonna have to get on the modern interstate. Actually, I don't think this is the interstate. Where's I-40? So with Route 66 closed, we're forced back onto I-40 and use that to get to our next charging stop in Needles. We enjoy more breathtaking views as we make progress crossing the entirety of the Mojave Desert. Needles is close to the border between California and Arizona. We eventually find the exit to Needles, and it's a bit somber. California really is a magical little place. Until next time, it's been real, Cali. Hey everyone, how's it going? Night is falling and we've just gotten into Arizona. We're actually just going straight to Flagstaff, Arizona to a Route 66 themed hotel. Really pretty nice. Amboy was fun. We were exhausted, but we were behind schedule, so now we're just trying to get there as fast as possible. And once we get there, that'll end day one from Los Angeles over to Flagstaff, Arizona. With it approaching 7 p.m. and the sunset literally behind us, we decided to forego taking the historic route up to Oatman. It's unfortunate as I was looking forward to driving through the Black Mountains there, but planning this out in my home office back in Maryland, I forgot that states are much bigger out here in the West. I figured crossing half of Arizona wouldn't be a big deal. It is a big deal. We also just crossed into Mountain Time Zone, losing us an hour, and with charging we were scheduled to get into Flagstaff around 10 p.m. We had no other choice but to make it because the hotel was non-refundable. Anyways, with this schedule crunch, we also skipped the historic route that goes up to Peach Springs, but lucky you, I happen to have footage of this part of the route from when I visited Havasu Falls in 2017, which I also did a video on. This is the stretch of Route 66 where you could find those Burma shave signs. Back in 2017, I saw them in the dead of night and didn't know what the hell it was. I thought it was a bar. I didn't think that razors had advertisements on the highway. Now, since speed was the name of the game, we employ a cannonball strategy, having charged just enough in Needles to make it only 60 miles down the road to Kingman, Arizona. This may have been a mistake though, since the charger at Kingman had issues. We did not get a charging rate greater than 65 kilowatts. I cannot complain, however, because I must have used close to 50 superchargers on my entire trip. This was the only supercharger that gave me issues and charged at a rate less than advertised. The Hardys at this supercharger just happened to be filled with high school students on their way home from a field trip. The increased time charging did give us time, though, to wait out the high schoolers and finally feed our body the fried goodness that it had been craving. With 150 miles left to Flagstaff, it felt like a while till we were back on the road. Andrew drove the remaining leg to Flagstaff. Understandably, with Andrew and I having spent almost 2 and 3 days, respectively, existing out of the car, we were eager to get to the hotel, where we could do things like finally take a shower. Not together, of course, that'd be weird. But yes, we couldn't wait to feel civilized again. And after getting into Flagstaff, we finally get to the Americana Motor Inn. I love the design, a tasteful little reboot to the retro style, with modern accoutrements like EV charging.
What a fun little room here at the Americana Motor Inn in Flagstaff, Arizona. Got here pretty late as we decided to climb that crater, and we had delays with charging in, what was that city called again? Anyway, we're here now. Lovely hotel room. Kingman, Arizona. Lovely hotel room, and we got... So this Americana Motor Inn is great because it's got this old retro styling, which I love, but it's got modern conveniences like ultra-fast Wi-Fi, as well as, yes it does, and electric vehicle charging. So, hey, that's one charging session that we don't have to pay for, which is great. So I'll see you in the morning.
At about 7 a.m. the next day, we get up to a frosty morning. Flagstaff is at about a very nice elevation of 6,900 feet. It's 40 degrees and windy, a sharp contrast from the California desert from the day before. We say goodbye to the Americana Motor Inn.
Even the safes are retro. More hotel rooms need a disco ball like this.
And check in on the Tesla, where we see the carcasses of a country's worth of bugs collected on the front, thanks to whichever charging network this is for getting us to 97% as we slept. We head east on Route 66 once again. This would, however, eventually lead to the highway, as the vast majority of Route 66 for the rest of Arizona is on the interstate. The sun was directly in our face as we were surprised to find ourselves in a pine forest. We continue on the interstate towards our first stop, Holbrook, Arizona. There are a few short stretches of the historic route, I would say most notably in Winslow, Arizona. Such a fine sight to see, I'm sure. Look, I like the Eagles as much as the next guy, but I don't need to see the particular corner where Jackson Browne was once supposedly eye-banged by a girl in a pickup.
Hey, good morning everybody. Welcome to Holbrook, Arizona. This is right near Petrified Forest National Park. Now, I actually went to Petrified Forest, so if you're interested in that, I will link my video to the Petrified Forest below. But anyway, we only need a few minutes here, and then we're heading off to Grants, New Mexico. Alright, let's do a quick Route 66 upgrade first of all. First of all, you'll see that I forgot to reset the thing from the Cannonball route, which is annoying. So let's just do that now. Route 66. This is not how I want to do it. Honestly, yesterday after finishing the Cannonball run, I was just kind of out of it. It's a lot of stuff to keep track of. So save. Let's reset Route 66. There we go. The Hertz donut counter is the total on the rental, as in the Hertz donut. It's because it hurts for Hertz that I'm abusing this rental.
Anyways, we're back on the highway going east. Right out of Holbrook, we pass the Petrified Forest National Park. Here's some footage of it from when I went the previous year. If you'd like to see more, check out my Southwest National Parks road trip video. We're about to leave Arizona and enter New Mexico, which is when we pick up a side quest. You see, Andrew is an important data guy and needed to get some time-sensitive data stuff done. After failing to get Wi-Fi at the Burger King while supercharging, we find a Starbucks 10 miles to the east of us. We think it's perfect as it's right along the way and set our sights there. Something definitely seemed a bit off despite a giant Starbucks sign in the window. Andrew, ever the optimist, springs out of the car, laptop in hand, ready to get down to business. Long story short, there was no Wi-Fi. There wasn't even hot coffee here. It was just a lady with a mini-mart who calls her shop Starbucks on Google Maps. We were a bit miffed, wondering how all of this could be legal, but worse, we were now 10 miles out of town with the need for Wi-Fi still persisting. So we hit the road once again, and not wanting to backtrack the 10 miles west to Holbrook, we pushed forwards eastward, searching for enough civilization where public Wi-Fi would be a thing. However, it was the desert, baby. Before we knew it, we had left Arizona and entered New Mexico, the land of enchantment. I find this statement to be true, as this was now my third time back in New Mexico in under 5 years. Seriously, amazing driving roads, hot springs, a quirky culture that names towns after game shows. I'm never disappointed traveling in New Mexico. We make an unscheduled stop to the first decent-sized town of Gallup, where we're able to complete our side quest of getting Andrew Wi-Fi by going to the McDonald's. Honestly, what would the world be without McDonald's? Anyways, finally able to relax, we cruised towards our next supercharger in Grants Milan, New Mexico. With our little detour in Gallup, it was a 160-mile leg for the Tesla. While going at normal non-cannonball speeds, the Tesla did pretty well. There was no anxiety, and we arrived at a healthy percentage to our supercharger at the Chaco Canyon Trading Company. We've arrived at our next stop, which is the Chaco Canyon Trading Company, and hey, conveniently that's where the Tesla superchargers are. So this is in Grants Milan, New Mexico, right off of Route 66. Our next stop from here is actually Santa Fe, where we'll be meeting up with a high school friend and doing some hiking. Once we're in Santa Fe, I'll show you some of the cool sights there. But yep, we're well along on our trip now in New Mexico, in Grants Milan. This is where you could get some awesome Route 66 related gifts for the family. So that's where I got this tomahawk, and let me tell you, I really love this place. We're about charged and ready to get to Santa Fe. However, my brother's still in there trying to find that perfect gift for his wife. With charging done, we head off to our next stop of Santa Fe. We still have another 135 miles to go. Along the way, we find more chances to travel the historic route. Here we're about to cross the Rio Puerco, which in this context translates to Dirty River. Along the way, we pass the old Rio Puerco Bridge. First built in 1933, it served a long life. It was only decommissioned in the late 90s, with the New Mexico Department of Transportation thankfully deciding to preserve it and leave it as a historical marker. Here, Route 66 is a frontage road to I-40, and I'll learn that this will be pretty common in New Mexico and well into Texas. We're now approaching New Mexico's largest city, Albuquerque, where Route 66 splits up. The southern route is more direct, which makes the detour to the state capital Santa Fe completely optional. However, that's where we have a hotel booked, that's where we're meeting our high school friend, and we have a fun day of outdoor activities planned. Here, there's still about 50 miles to go. Here, Route 66 is Route 313 in between Bernardino and, I'll find out on the map later. Well, I would always do something like that.
National Scenic El Camino. It means the road real.
Route 66 ended, and we had to use I-25 the rest of the way to Santa Fe. It was a beautiful drive, and we were set to meet our high school friend at the Tesla supercharger just a little bit south of town. Once we get there, the charger is almost full, which was honestly kind of a rarity. Our friend, coming from southwestern Colorado, had still not arrived. Since this is a version 2 charger and we had to split a cabinet, we had time to wait. We're at a version 2 supercharger, and we had to play the game of whose charge are we splitting? And we decided to split the charge with the guy whose car is unoccupied. So yes, here in Santa Fe, we're actually meeting up with a high school friend named Darren, and we are going to go do something in nature and just hang out in the town tonight. For tonight, we're going to just be chilling. But, you know I had to do some of the hiking thing. I mean, come on now. So I'm trusting the Southwestern locals here with my brother and Darren.
It's preparing for the winter.
Yeah, so we're halfway there.
Halfway?
Anyways, that dude in the green shirt is Darren. Right now, we're dropping off his car at our hotel so that we could all go up to Bandelier in the Tesla. Here's Andrew driving Darren's car, following the Tesla to the hotel. Andrew tries to drive Darren's car every chance he gets. Darren's mid-2000s Mazda 3 provides a much more visceral experience than the BMW i3 he normally drives. Furthermore, it's a manual transmission. Here's Andrew taking full advantage of that now. Luckily, the hotel let us check in a couple hours early, which was great. So we drop off some of our stuff and then head off to Bandelier. So, Santa Fe is able to boast several superlatives. Founded in the year 1607 by Spanish conquistadores, it is the United States' oldest capital city. Furthermore, located at an elevation just under 7,000 feet, Santa Fe is also the nation's highest capital city. This made it a prime location for hiking. Our destination for the afternoon is the Bandelier National Monument. It's famed as being the ancestral homeland of the Pueblo Native Americans. And yes, this is about 45 minutes away from Route 66. However, I'm sure at least some Route 66 travelers from days past made their way here, so I'm counting it. Nearby volcanic activity made Bandelier an ideal spot for civilization at the time, since the volcanic remnants known as tuff, which were basically blocks of soft volcanic rock, served as ideal construction material. It was also relatively easy to excavate dwellings in the uniquely soft and malleable rock walls.
I imagine this stuff's pretty,
So we're here at Bandelier, where, some Native American folks made their home here. The past volcanic activity also made the earth rich with minerals and able to support the agricultural needs of the ancestral pueblos. Here, civilization thrived for about 400 years up until the year 1550. At this point, the earth could no longer be farmed, and construction practices had advanced enough so that the pueblos realized that they didn't have to live in rock walls anymore, and moved towards settlements near the Rio Grande. So we are the only denizens of this cliff dwelling built by, what's the Indian tribe? Pueblo, the Pueblo people. I knew that. So we're here at the cliff dwelling, and it's ours for the moment being, but I'm sure more people are coming up. But very beautiful up here, great views. We hiked around for a couple more hours after doing the touristy bits before heading back to Santa Fe. We find out that the Sangre de Cristo, or Blood of Christ mountains, are appropriately named when viewing these amazing shades of red. For some reason, we pull off the side of the road to have a rock throwing contest before we head to Santa Fe for real this time, as night was falling. Back in Santa Fe, it's a lovely night. It really is pretty darn perfect. Hotel accommodations are lovely. And we're just taking a short walk to downtown for dinner. After freshening up for a bit at our hotel near the downtown, we head off walking into town with no concrete plans and pretty much eat at the first restaurant we find that's still open at that hour on a Tuesday night. Called the Pantry Rio, it was seriously one of the unexpectedly best meals I've ever had in my entire life. We walk off our meals by walking through the downtown and find a ton of art galleries and other fun things to look at. I have to conclude that Santa Fe is seriously one of the best places to visit in the entire United States. I would say it's underrated, but it costs a small fortune to stay here, and it's already revered as a leading culinary and cultural destination. So really, it's appropriately rated. Eventually, we make it to the state capital. Like I mentioned before, it is the United States' oldest capital city. However, at least the night we went, it was experiencing a very modern problem. So after dinner, we made it to the New Mexico state capitol. It is a lovely building. We kind of have to leave because there's a homeless person camped there who has a guard dog. So it's their state capitol now. Sorry about that.
What's up, guys? I just wanted to show you the state capitol here in New Mexico.
So here's the state capitol of New Mexico. It looks absolutely lovely at night. We're having a great time. We just finished a great meal. Isn't that
Like,
right?
comment, subscribe.
Like, comment,
Right over there, it's
40-year-old
the Capitol building.
Right, that
there.
one right there. Eventually, we make it back to the hotel with varying levels of sobriety. We decide who gets to sleep in the nice bed, and I won. The next morning, the hotel provides us an amazing breakfast. The morning would be bittersweet though, since I have to say goodbye to my brother Andrew and friend Darren. Darren is going back to Bandelier to do a multi-day backpack, while Andrew is flying out of Albuquerque to return to his family. Thanks for coming. Alright, group hug. Alright.
That's an on sandwich.
Yeah, let's do it again.
Hey,
Soon. Alright.
bye, Anthony. It's good seeing you
Good
again.
seeing you, man. Alright, have a safe trip.
You too.
Have a good flight. I'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Alright. Soon we'll be taking that, continuing our Route 66 road trip. So now I'm on my own. I got to do a little bit of planning. We had too much fun. Not enough planning was done for the next leg of the trip. So I'm going to spend a couple more hours at the hotel. Before having to check out, I spend some time in the hotel room chilling and planning out the day. Alright, I am continuing my Route 66 trip going east. I'm in Santa Fe. I'm going to drive through the downtown a little bit, then head over to the supercharger. Now, this technically can get to Santa Rosa, but I got to watch my speed. I probably have to watch my climate, and we ain't doing that this trip. This ain't no cannonball run. We are cruising in comfort. We're putting on the tunes. We're putting on the podcasts. We're putting the climate control on auto. We're being comfortable, okay? Because I have a few days to get back. So it's now day 3 and I'm on my own again. I drive around downtown Santa Fe wanting to savor this amazing place for a bit more. So here's the old Santa Fe Trail. I believe that's Route 66. That's the something cathedral. Eventually, I'm back at the Santa Fe supercharger to give the Tesla ample charge for the next leg. It's 115 miles to Santa Rosa. My next destination is the Blue Hole of Santa Rosa. I've now done a total of 980 miles on my Route 66 journey, and so far things have gone off without a hitch. Driving now on the historic route out of Santa Fe, I feel an immense sense of freedom traversing this breathtaking desert landscape. I like empty horizons that seem to give way to more empty horizons. It's a great way to ignore all the stresses of the modern world. After all, you can't take care of modern problems if they aren't within the horizon, right? I knew, however, that this wouldn't last forever and savored it while it lasted. Once closer to Santa Rosa, the historic route would run out for a while and I'd have to use I-40. I would encounter traffic, however, this did give me a chance to more extensively use one of Tesla's best features.
Alright, I'm buying a Tesla. Well, maybe, but this is impressive. Stop and go traffic. Like, I didn't get a chance to use this. I didn't use this, obviously, on the Cannonball Run, even though there were traffic situations. But the fact that this is stopping for me and will creep forward as the traffic moves, incredible. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this is impressive. No input at all from me.
Traffic clears up and I eventually make my way to the Blue Hole of Santa Rosa. Okay, here at the Blue Hole, it's a consistent 62 degrees Fahrenheit, and it sounded really cold to me, but I felt it with my hand. It's in the mid-80s here in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. So I'm gonna go get the GoPro and jump in. All right, let's give this a try. Okay, let's have a look at this. I'm kind of scared to go over there, quite frankly. Why don't I put this on my head? So I'm gonna play that part again in slow motion just to see it better. I kind of have a small panic attack and don't get much footage of it. Call me a chicken, but I cannot swim. It is really cold. Water tastes weird. The Blue Hole is fascinating. It's an example of an artesian well, which sources its water from a cenote, which is basically a collapsed cavern that exposes the groundwater at high pressure. And no, I'm totally not just reading this off of Wikipedia. Anyways, it's a popular spot with divers, since the Blue Hole is 81 feet deep, with caverns at the bottom going even deeper still. These caverns are currently closed to the general public. Oh, that's taller than I thought it'd be. I can't let fear get the better of me. I came here to do this, but it looks scary as fuck. Ooh. That's high. That is high. Wow. That's scary. I'm scared, man. In fact, I would jump off 2 more times before awkwardly changing in the backseat of the Tesla and then continuing my journey to my next stop, also in Santa Rosa. So here we have Route 66 going through Santa Rosa, New Mexico. I'm on my way to the Route 66 Auto Museum. So I thought it'd only be appropriate to go to the Route 66 Auto Museum in order for us to understand that electric cars didn't come out of nowhere. This was the evolution of the cars, and we need to pay homage to the classics and the originals. In this case, the ones that are Well, I actually don't know anything about these cars, sorry. Looks comfy. This old mechanic equipment seems fun to me. So cool. R.I.P. my friend. Stay thirsty, my friends. Ooh, now that seems like a fun little pickup truck. That looks like a fun little pickup truck. Yeah, I haven't seen one of these in a while. Yeah, so sorry, I don't have much info on these. They look incredible, no doubt. Unfortunately, I'm just not into classic cars. To me, I think of these cars like my grandparents. While old and inefficient, I respect them a ton, but at the same time, I don't know too much about them. And it's probably better this way. Regardless of whether you're into cars or not, I highly encourage stopping here as it's a great blast from the past and you'll be supporting a small town business. Anyways, I'm not here long before heading to the supercharger in town for a small charging session. Alright, heading out of Santa Rosa after a very short charge. We're gonna go to Tucumcari. It's not necessary, really, but in order for me to drive more comfortably and with less anxiety, I am going to stop there. Tucumcari, New Mexico is the next stop about 60 miles down the road. I initially had not planned on stopping here, however, the supercharger following that is in Amarillo, Texas, which is 170 miles away just using the interstate. That distance was already a stretch for the Model Y long range at these western US speed limits, and since I was using Route 66, there would be an unknown distance added to that. So I thought I'd play it safe. I had to use I-40 for a while, but before long I'm able to resume the historic route. And here is where I see the first signs of abandonment. While there were some signs of abandonment in California and Arizona, I would say for the most part the major stops there were modernized and are still home to thriving communities. This was not the feeling I got once getting to Tucumcari. This was the first place I saw that looked like it really depended on Route 66 for survival. As I drive through here, I wonder who was the last business owner to stay. The one who stood in denial the longest, hoping that the customers would still come. I'm also fascinated by just how powerful Mother Nature is, taking back with impunity what was once hers. Okay, it's so much quieter here. I'm on the traditional Route 66, but it's so much more peaceful on this part, and they're both going the same direction. So if you're about to go to Tucumcari, why not take the old route? It's quieter, it's more peaceful, and it's lovely. A dispensary was one of the few places in business showing just how much society had changed since Route 66's heyday. Signs of life would appear as I got closer to where the I-40 exit was situated in town. And that provided some comfort, knowing that while businesses along Route 66 died, the people that ran them didn't. They just moved on. Passing everyday life in Tucumcari with these residences and businesses in operation, I felt some happiness knowing that the human spirit soldiers on even in the face of ruin. Alright, we're in Tucumcari, and we're going to do a pretty deep charge. The next stop is Amarillo, Texas. Now, the Route 66 route is also the same route used for the Cannonball runs, so I researched a lot of these stops. Now, Amarillo is pretty much a must stop. You have to stop there. So, our next plan here is to go to... I'm going to try to go to this part of 66, Route 66, and do this dirt road to Glen Rio. We're going to try, okay? Might take a little while. So I'm going to put in some extra charge, just in case I run into issues there. So it's now an estimated 120 or so miles to the Amarillo supercharger, with a few stops along the way. I resume on Route 66, and the first order of business is to make it to Texas. Route 66 is a frontage road to the interstate for a while before dipping down south. The Tesla was doing just fine with the slower speed limits of the historic route, making for great efficiency. even though I'm only halfway through the route, I can say with confidence that there is no issue doing the whole route with a Tesla. Even though the route has changed, the stops along the way remain the same. In fact, most of my superchargers have been directly on Route 66, since that's where the centers of civilization were back then, and that's where they remain today. This is something the interstate couldn't change even if it wanted to. This is the historic Cedar Hill grocery store, and I'm kind of regretting taking this dirt road. Should I be doing this with my car? Oh my god. As Route 66 seemed to meander off into an endless prairie, it begins to dawn on me that the distinct characteristics of the American West were starting to give way ever so slowly. I noticed more grass on the ground for the first time. The change was so gradual. As I got closer to Texas, I realized that there would be more than 20 miles of rustic roads to drive across. I honestly shuddered at the idea of what would likely be a good hour of bouncing around in the Tesla, so just before reaching the point of no return, I opted to take I-40 instead and finally make it into Texas. Welcome to Texas. There's a sign over there. Here in Glen Rio, Texas. Now this is exit 0 on I-40, and this goes to Glen Rio. Now there are people still living here. Of course, we're being respectful of them. Here we can see some of the abandoned building. It is really interesting. And here is Route 66. Way over there, maybe you could see I-40 and the traffic moving around. But yeah, there are still some people living here. So this is Glen Rio, which was once a railroad town founded in 1906. When Route 66 was opened, Glen Rio became a prominent stopping point right on the border of New Mexico and Texas. With alcohol legal on the New Mexico side and a dry county on the Texas side, Glen Rio became a popular spot to have a drink for thirsty travelers. As a result, it gained a reputation for rowdiness. By the 1970s, though, the new Interstate 40 killed the businesses, though I was surprised to find some people living here when I visited in 2023. Not wanting to disturb the residents too much, I elected to move on. Cool! Certainly the most number of windmill power things that I've seen in one place, and here in good old Texas. Sorry, I'm not sure why I did that, but cool. So yeah, who knew Texas would be so keen on renewable energy? I certainly didn't. Going deeper into the state, things started to look like, well, everyday modern life. There was tons of industry going on all around me. For example, on my right here is a stockyard with what must have been thousands of cows. The smell, I gotta say, was unbearable, and it took me a while to figure out how to get air recirculation turned on through the Tesla touchscreen. Anyways, I'm currently on I-40, and this is because Route 66 all the way to Amarillo is a frontage road. And I'll be honest, the majesty of frontage roads fades pretty quickly when there is a perfectly good interstate a few feet away parallel to you that is faster and doesn't have stop signs. Anyways, I'm on my way to my next stop just west of Amarillo, which I had actually wanted to see since I was a kid. Predating the internet, I learned of it on a National Geographic Channel show on America's Best Roadside Attractions. It's none other than the Cadillac Ranch, which, when I pulled up to it, was surprisingly busy, especially for a random Wednesday evening. Hey, what's up here at Cadillac Ranch? Forgive all the traffic noise. So yeah, pretty interesting, although I haven't gone up to it yet. I'm not painting anything, I just want to see it. Cadillac's buried into the ground. Only in America, you know. It's a nice little walk out there. It's a good distance to actually get to this thing. Originally created in 1974 by a trio of artists known collectively as the Ant Farm, its 10 Cadillacs buried nose first into the ground at an angle that is supposed to match the angle of the pyramids of Giza for some reason. The land and financing for the project was provided by Stanley Marsh III, who is basically an eccentric Texas rich guy with a penchant for sponsoring wild art projects. So that answers the how of Cadillac Ranch coming together, with the why still a mystery. Although since it was the 1970s, I'm guessing LSD was somehow involved. Interesting stuff. This guy's a celebrity, he doesn't even know it. On my way to a supercharger in Amarillo, Texas. So we're going right through the panhandle. But yeah, since it's daylight, I'm just going to be continuing through. I'm not sure where exactly. While I charge, I'll figure out my next plan. Hey, so while I'm waiting here in Amarillo, I thought I'd just do I don't want to say it's a rant, but in terms of Tesla supercharging, it really is kind of a mixed bag. On the Cannonball route, it was pretty good because there was stuff nearby, most of them. However, on this route, Route 66, I-40 mostly, it's been hotels and a lot of sketchy, well, they're not sketchy places, but they're not places with amenities. I mean, it's nice these hotels let you use their bathroom, but like another one I went to was like a closed Burger King, just not a whole lot of options. I mean, say what you will about Electrify America, at least that's at Walmart. Let's face it, you could get virtually anything you want at Walmart. Most of them have like Subways and other restaurants inside of them. And like right now, I'm hungry. I don't know. I think Tesla superchargers need to do better. At least have some trash cans. Come on. At this point, I was quite hangry, I must admit. Luckily, though, I found this place called Slim Chickens on the way back to the interstate, which was surprisingly good. Hangriness abated, I drive through Amarillo and notice it looks surprisingly familiar. It was like a time warp to the present day, as things look thoroughly modern. It gave me mixed feelings. I was enjoying my trip through the past and wasn't ready quite yet to rejoin the present day. Soon enough, though, I was back to the open Texas prairie. So I don't know, St. Louis may be called the gateway to the West, but for me, this is where geographically the West is really starting to become the East. Just east of Amarillo, Texas. What was desert and very dusty surroundings are slowly starting to be covered by grassland. Right to the east of Amarillo, Texas is when the West becomes the East, in my mind at least. So it's very interesting. I'm headed to Shamrock, Texas right now. So that's a big ass cross right there. I believe to find it, you would have to look up big ass cross on Google Maps. So yeah, I guess everything's bigger in Texas. And you may think we'd be here a while since Texas is the second largest state in the country. However, that is not the case since Route 66 goes straight through the panhandle. At 175 miles across, it's a chunky panhandle still. That's Route 66 running parallel to me on the right. I elect to take the interstate though, as night was falling. I wanted to at least be in Oklahoma to end my day. Shamrock, Texas is my next supercharging stop at about 90 miles from Amarillo and just before the Texas-Oklahoma border. So I'm here in Shamrock, Texas, and here is we're on Old Route 66. Sorry for the truck noise, but I'm charging here. So the charger is actually at this Route 66 thing, which is kind of cool. After another hour of driving, I make it to my overnight stop in Weatherford, Oklahoma. No fancy lodging this time around, as we're just at the La Quinta to end day 3. Okay guys, I'm here in my hotel room in Weatherford, Oklahoma, and I realize a problem. This is taking too long going on the actual Route 66. Doing Route 66 takes quite a bit more time. The speed limits are lower and you're going through towns with traffic lights and stuff. So, straight up, I will just be heading straight to that blue whale thing. I'll do Route 66 from Catoosa to Veneta, and then heading on to Missouri. All right, starting day 4 of Route 66 road trip. Very interesting development. Apparently overnight, it lost 5%. How to do that? As far as I know, Sentry Mode's not on. Since it's a rental, we don't have the app or anything, so that's interesting. Either way, there's a supercharger in town. I found this hotel on the fly, the La Quinta, so I didn't check for electric vehicle charging. I'm in Weatherford, Oklahoma. I guess this is a V2. I didn't do as much research into these chargers. It wasn't, well, actually, it probably is a V2 because it wasn't on my, on the list. For a lot of the Route 66 lists, it's the same as the Cannonball route going on the south, which is why I know about these. But we're just going to go to Oklahoma City, and we're going to charger hop, do it in more of a Cannonball style to get things moving. Okay, so day 4 of travel begins in the state of Oklahoma. For the entire trip, I'm 1,462 miles in, with about 900 miles left to go. We're going to take I-40 as a demonstration for modern versus traditional. There she be again, Route 66. So my first stop for the day is the Oklahoma City supercharger, and with Route 66 paralleling the interstate for much of the way, I used the interstate to go faster. It's my first time in Oklahoma, and scenery-wise, it looks just how I expected it to. Not quite as green as Appalachia or the eastern seaboard, but distinctly not the American West either, so something in between. Once done with charging at the supercharger just south of town, I see the Oklahoma City skyline. And this is when I'd be reminded of the fact that while Oklahoma is widely considered a flyover state, smack dab in the middle of Tornado Alley, the state actually has a surprisingly dark history. For instance, the first time I'd even heard of Oklahoma was as a kid in 1995 when I saw the news of the bombing of the Alfred Murrah Federal Building on TV. Still to this day, the worst domestic terrorist incident in American history. Oklahoma City is also notable because it's here where Route 66 switches from going alongside I-40 to using I-44 to head northeast, making it the first time we've been off of I-40 completely since California. Oklahoma's dark history continues as in the 19th century, eastern Oklahoma is where the Seminole, Creek, Cherokee, Choctaw, and Chickasaw Native American tribes resettled after being forced out of their ancestral homelands in the southeast in what is known as the Trail of Tears. I'm now heading towards Tulsa, where on the Memorial Day weekend of 1921, scores of black-owned businesses and residences were burned to the ground by rioting white residents following a highly disputed SA accusation made against a black youth by a white female accuser. 36 people were officially reported killed, but many believe this figure to be grossly understated, with the more likely figure totaling over 100. Also around this time in nearby Osage County, a conspiring group of white men killed at least 60 Osage tribal members over a 20-year period, but only after either tricking or coercing their victims into bequeathing their oil-rich lands to them. And while I'm sure attitudes are different today, we can't overlook the fact that this was not that long ago in history. Hi everyone, so I'm at the Route 66 casino here in Catoosa, Oklahoma. And lovely day here in Oklahoma. It was a little bit too humid for my liking yesterday. It started off humid, but yeah, I'm liking it. Nice people. I don't know Oklahoma too well. Weatherford was fine. But anyway, we're on the way to the Blue Whale. Then I'm gonna drive Route 66 for a little bit. And I definitely want to make it to St. Louis before nightfall so that I could see the arch in a beautiful perspective. So yeah, I'm gonna continue on my way, and yeah, beautiful day to go traveling. The casino is also where the supercharger was. All right, I'm getting to know the trip planner a little more. So basically, I'm tricking this to take Route 66. So I'm basically saying first go to the Blue Whale. Blue Whale, then Lazy Days RV of Tulsa, Superior Used Cars, and we'll be getting out of Oklahoma soon. You can see it from the road. Let's have a look. Hopefully they have bathrooms. and an overpriced gift shop. Hey, what's up? So I'm at the Blue Whale of Catoosa. Hopefully I'm not blocking it. Yeah, this is right near Catoosa, Oklahoma, which is right near Tulsa. Of course, traveling through Oklahoma always made me a little nervous because they have a f***ed up history. I've only heard of the Osage and of course the Tulsa race riots. I'm sure there's more. But of course, this is one of the states that would necessitate something like the Green Book. However, as I'm here in this peaceful environment, part of me is wondering how I would have been treated traveling through here. And to be honest with you, I think I would have been just fine. Because there's like not this deep history, you know, maybe World War II era, maybe a different kind of, maybe different thoughts on that. But yeah, but you know, sometimes it feels nice to be out of the conversation sometimes, and it makes things a little safer for you. I love the expression on this whale's face. He's so happy because he's gobbling up your tourist dollars. No, I'm just kidding. This is actually free to come here. Looks like you can swim here, but not now. It doesn't look like the best water. Whoa. Shall we go inside the whale? Let's go. So the Blue Whale was built by Hugh Davis in the early 1970s as an anniversary gift to his wife Zelta, who collected whale figurines. And while initially designed for private use, the Davises opened it up to the public after seeing how popular it was both locally and with travelers. The attraction would close and fall into disrepair following Hugh's death in 1990. However, locals would revive the attraction a decade later as the Route 66 landmark it is today. The Ark was another attraction built nearby which I visit next. However, this was not revived. We have this ship, and yeah, I would agree, don't play on it. Don't look too safe. Oh, I guess at one... Oh, you could have at one point played on it. So I guess this is where the kiddos would go while on their Route 66 travels. Across the street is a modern school, so we can see what's wrong with this, children. Why do you gotta be all modern? Maybe I shouldn't be filming kids from across the street. Okay, let's go back to the car. I'm now back on Route 66 and traveling the areas where the aforementioned Green Book was likely needed the most. The Green Book is the more well-known name for the Negro Motorist Green Book, which was an annual publication by Victor Hugo Green that ran from 1936 through 1966. The Green Book was a virtual necessity for safe passage for black travelers due to Jim Crow laws being in place in America until the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. In case you don't know, Jim Crow is a general term for the local laws enacted to comply with the separate but equal constitutional doctrine. This doctrine would legally allow segregation as long as services offered to the public were equal. In practice, services were never equal, and since these laws were created and enforced at the local level, they varied widely across the country and were generally most severe where slavery was once practiced. And while Oklahoma was never an official slave state, slavery was practiced here, especially in the Northeast where I am now by, to my surprise, Native American slave owners who brought them along during their forced relocation. Soon I would be in Missouri, the only official former slave state that Route 66 passes through, and among the places where black travelers were most vulnerable. Jim Crow laws could be as petty as making it illegal for black motorists to pass white motorists on the roadway. Jim Crow laws also led to the rise of sundown towns, municipalities where blacks were not allowed past dark. These laws made it extremely dangerous for black travelers who were in the wrong place at the wrong time, as racist locals would often enact violence on them in the name of vigilantism, with local law enforcement often turning a blind eye. The vast majority of gas stations, hotels, and restaurants catered only to whites. The Green Book not only provided a listing of establishments that allowed black patrons, but also provided car buying and maintenance tips to help prevent leaving black travelers stranded in a place they weren't supposed to be. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 would ban segregation at the national level, with the Green Book ceasing publication a couple years later. So, at least this part of Route 66 didn't die in downtown Veneta, Oklahoma. Some vacant buildings, but, you know, a lot of them are occupied, and it looks like a charming little town. As I use Route 66 to leave Oklahoma, I can't help but notice that once again, things look decidedly modern. And this is when I start to realize that the story of Route 66 abandonment is only partially true. It's well known that 80% of the US population is located in the eastern half of the country. And as a result, many of the communities along this part of the route never really went away. Yes, the domiciles and businesses may be different, but they are definitely still here. I've now reached the very northeast corner of Oklahoma and about to say goodbye to the Great Plains portion of Route 66 for the higher elevations of the Ozarks of Missouri. But before I do, I'll be passing through Kansas. Of the roughly 2,400 miles of Route 66, Kansas is home to only 13 of them. Indeed, the route just grazes the southeast corner. But along the way, I enjoy the peaceful driving and views of rolling green plains, which I much prefer to the busy interstate. Views of the prairie were wonderful and widespread. Kansas welcomes me. There, I did Kansas. So I'm just gonna go. There's like some bridge and some other stuff. I don't know, it's the only thing in Kansas, might as well do it. So, headed to that area now, and then that will just cross over some waterway, not sure which, to get into Missouri. Before long, I make it to the Rainbow Bridge, also known as the Brush Creek Bridge. Built in 1923 by famed architect James Barney Marsh, it predates Route 66 by 3 years. By the way, you can drive across it from the other way, though I didn't know this at the time. Guys, I'm at this beautiful little Route 66 sign here in Kansas. I did make it to Kansas. There's Route 66 here. So coming in here, going that way. But anyway, I'm gonna just drive through the area. I'm heading to the charger. I got a warning from Tesla saying that they don't know of any chargers near the area. I'm just like, there is a charger near the area. You're a charger. Anyways, I continue on my journey, and through quite a bit of confusion and fighting with the Tesla nav to stay on Route 66, I make my way through the rest of the Kansas portion of the route, eventually making my way to Missouri. Like with Oklahoma, it's my first time ever in the state. Then I managed to make my way to Joplin to the Tesla supercharger. Okay, here's the Tesla supercharger in, where are we again? Joplin, Missouri. And they come and go. Messing around in Kansas definitely delayed me, because there's a lot of like 2-lane only highways. So anyway, my goal was to get to St. Louis before nightfall. Is that even possible? Considering I'm 179 miles away from Rola, 179 miles, wow, that's a pretty deep charge. Of course, we're not going cannonball speed, so it's not as much of a concern. I'm just gonna take it easy. That's hard for me to do, take it easy. So to expedite things, I'm gonna eat that in a couple hours, an Italian sandwich that should keep. Oh, my son got me addicted to these. A lot longer charge as I'm doing a huge 178 mile leg. So let's just stop the charging now. stop charging. So it's 3:25 and this started at 2:55. Wow, 30 minutes long. So now I'm officially in Missouri. I'm on the interstate, which, like many of the other states before it, goes right along Route 66 for much of it. There's Route 66 running parallel to me on the right, and yes, it will go into random towns. However, since we are now well into the American East, these towns are modernized, well populated, and will look a lot like, well, the rest of America. In fact, from here on out, Route 66 attractions are mostly museums and things like restored service stations. While interesting in their own right, not really my thing. I wanted to see the Merrimack Caverns, which was more up my alley, but the tourist portion of it at least would be closed by the time I got there. I must apologize for this, as I feel like I did the state of Missouri wrong, but that didn't stop me from enjoying the views of the Ozarks. It had been a while since I had seen hills and forests of trees, and while pretty, it was a sobering reminder that my trip was beginning to wrap up as I was becoming further ensconced into an environment that was undoubtedly the East Coast. Once I reached St. Louis, the symbolic gateway to the West, that would be official. There was still one more charge I had to do along the way, and soon I arrived at my next supercharger stop in Rola, Missouri. Hey, here in Rola, Missouri, just taking a little walk. I didn't really get any exercise today, as opposed to the other few days where I got some exercise in. So I'm feeling a little wound up. So I'm trying to get to the St. Louis Arch before nightfall, and I think it could be possible. We only need to go about 110 miles. Now this is a version 2 charger. Yes, I found a cool way to pass the time inside. So anyway, fun thing you could do. This thing, I cannot believe, why did it take me so long to find out? But theater, YouTube. That's amazing. I think there was a new jet lag yesterday, so let's see. Cool. Got pretty darn lucky, I gotta say. Not sure if it can be done, but I'm trying to get to St. Louis before nighttime so I could see the arch in daylight. If not daylight, I'll still go and hope it looks cool in the night. And then next charger. At that next charger, it should be around 8. I'm going to start looking into a hotel, as that'd be about how much more driving I'd want to do. With 110 miles left to go to the arch, things weren't looking great as sunset was approaching. Furthermore, the weather began to deteriorate as clouds rolled in and a drizzle began. My destination is a local park where I could supposedly get a picture-perfect view of the arch, though prospects of this dwindled further as I ran into traffic. This traffic-aware cruise control is amazing. It's a little jerky, but it's amazing. So there's apparently an accident way over there. Well, night's falling and I didn't get to see the arch like I wanted to, but hopefully it's illuminated and looks pretty at night. I'm still gonna go there. Have to go past there tonight to keep a reasonable schedule. So it's day 4 and I really need to wrap this up tomorrow. We still got the whole state of Illinois to go. It may not sound like much, but it's the length and the width. And if you guys know your Pythagorean theorem, you know that's a lot. The weather would continue to worsen as I finally make my way to the city proper and see the beautiful skyline. Not going to lie, I was really impressed. I would learn that the park with the picturesque view, though, was actually in East St. Louis, technically in the state of Illinois. I grew a bit nervous since East St. Louis is considered among the most dangerous parts of the St. Louis metro area, which is already up there in terms of violent crime per capita. However, as I got off at my exit to a sketchy, overgrown industrial area, I remembered a key lesson I learned from my years in Chicago, which is that criminals don't really like to get wet. So, with the rain as my protector, I soldiered on through narrow streets until the arch finally came into view. outside. It's raining, so I'm not getting out of the car. But there she be. St. Louis looks very pretty in the rain. And there's the arch. Looks absolutely beautiful. And the city looks amazingly beautiful. This is my first time here. However, I need to keep going. It's raining. I can't do anything anyway. So, yep. So that's St. Louis. Wow. That looks like flooding. I better get out of here. Anyway, let's get out of here. There's the St. Louis light rail. Didn't know they had one. Cool. Coming down hard out there with the rain. Casey's General Store. Let's do a quick trip update. So we made it into Illinois. Just saw the Gateway Arch, visiting St. Louis for the first time. I don't think you could really call it visiting though. Trip. So we're 1,481 miles from Holbrook, Arizona. I'll put the correct time, the total Route 66 distance here. Right now, we're probably just going to go on to Springfield, Illinois. What I'm going to do is charge this. I think I'm going to find a hotel in Springfield, Illinois. It seems to be the nearest big town. I don't mind staying here a little bit because it's a little bad outside. Maybe one hidden benefit to having to wait to charge is get to sit these little storms out. Luckily, the rain did eventually clear up, and of course, I was listening to Sufjan Stevens, as you do whenever you visit Illinois. After charging in Collinsville, just across the state border, I decided to find lodging in the state capital of Springfield, a further 80 miles away. Damn, that's a huge one.
In 500 feet, turn right to take the Interstate 55 south.
Arriving in Springfield, I was eager to find my hotel and get some rest in order to finish day 4. Alright, finishing day 4 of the road trip, and here we are at another La Quinta, my favorite budget hotel personally. Alright folks, so this is the game plan for Illinois tomorrow. We're pretty close, we're less than 300 miles, so I'm not going to be in the super rush to get out tomorrow morning. After reaching the end of Route 66, I plan on just going straight home, no spending the night anywhere, which should be doable, so I'm getting a really good rest here tonight in a hotel. Now, one thing that I was interested in, I didn't realize would be so early on in the state coming north, and that was the world's largest ketchup bottle, but I already passed it, can't go back really for it. So Springfield is the capital. I'll swing by the capital, see what's going on there. I looked at a bunch of random stuff to do, and I'm not really sure what's the best, so I'll play it by ear and then go straight to Chicago. And that's the plan for tomorrow. Interesting stuff. So right outside my hotel room, we have the Electrify America station. And I saw 3 dudes chatting it up there, and that's kind of what I miss about EA. There's camaraderie at the EA station. You gotta ask them, hey, which chargers are working? Hey, if that charger's working, which handle do I use? And so forth. If there's a line, as there often is, it's who got here first? Where's that guy who left his car here? See, these are the kind of questions you need to ask at an EA station. Tesla drivers, I notice, have kept to themselves. Another La Quinta. Wow, 4%, dropped 5% overnight. Interesting. Hey, what's up everybody? It's day 5 of the Tesla Route 66 road trip here in Springfield, Illinois. I had to go to this Shields to go to the Tesla charger. Now, Shields, based on the outside, I have no idea what's inside. I've never heard of it. The only thing outside is a marquee with the soccer player on it. I could walk over and find out, but no, I'm not gonna do that. Anyway, we're gonna go to the state capitol, do a little bit of Route 66, and then go on to Chicago. It's not too far, it's less than 300 miles away. So we should definitely be getting there in daylight, and it's where I used to live for 8 years. I'm very excited to go back. Okay, I'm at the Illinois State Capitol. Why does this have to remind us not to bring guns in here? Anyway, so there's the Capitol building. Pretty nice, isn't it? Bunch of construction going on over there. I'm not sure how the employees get in, but I don't see a way to get in from the outside. I believe there's some sort of tunnel. Anyway, I'm moving on with my trip. I'm trying to do some Route 66 stuff. So Illinois State Capitol, there you go. Next, we're gonna go see the world's largest covered wagon. Heading out on the final day of Route 66, I'm on the way to the world's largest covered wagon of the rail splitter variety. Quite frankly, it was the only Route 66 attraction in Illinois, besides Chicago of course, that seemed even remotely interesting to me. This covered wagon supposedly has Abraham Lincoln riding it. Additionally, it's located in Lincoln, Illinois, and considering that Illinois is known as the land of Lincoln, you can't get any more Lincoln than that. Arriving in Lincoln, I find it to be pretty typical of towns in the eastern portion of the route. There really wasn't much to the town, so it didn't take me long to find the world's largest covered wagon of the rail splitter variety, of course, situated just off the side of the road. Alright guys, here I am in Lincoln, Illinois. And last night I was looking at Route 66 shit to do, and it honestly looked like not my kind of thing. A little, quite frankly, a little boring. But the world's largest covered wagon, hey, it's the rail splitting type of wagon, don't you forget. But there it is, right there. Pretty cool. I'm not sure what else there is in this town of Lincoln, Illinois. I don't know. He's looking a little confused by that law book, don't you think? I don't know. I'm not sure he's going to pass exams. Okay, continuing on to the Charger and Dwight, and then probably just Chicago after that, unless I find something else interesting. Following the covered wagon, I continue Route 66 to my final supercharger before Chicago, located in Dwight, Illinois, 90 miles away. While most of the drive was peaceful and relatively quiet, I did notice that the route would sometimes fill up with cars trying to avoid clogged stretches of the interstate. By the way, after St. Louis, Route 66 would meander alongside Interstate 55 all the way to the Chicago metro area. And at least for those stretches when the interstate was clogged, the old way was beating the new one. In fact, I would argue that going into Chicago from the south, Route 66 is a perfectly viable, low-stress, and fuel-efficient alternative. The weather would begin to deteriorate, however, I wasn't too worried for reasons I'll explain later, and I make it to the supercharger in Dwight without issue. Okay, I know the weather looks kind of bad, but there's this thing that happens to me. Whenever I go to a place, the weather just clears up for me. Have you ever heard of pronoia, where you feel the world helps you out? So don't worry, by the time I get to Chicago, the weather will clear up. So I plugged the Route 66 beginning sign in downtown Chicago into the GPS, and now it's only 80 miles until the route was officially done. I would elect to take the interstate since it would be very hard for me to stay true to the traditional route without a navigator by my side, and I honestly wasn't even sure if it was possible. Things would be very rural for a while, and I was even directed back on the actual Route 66 in order to leapfrog some of the jammed interstate traffic. I grinned with anticipation and was looking for signs of Chicago. Shortly after getting back on the interstate, I cross a huge waterway on an equally huge bridge, and shortly after see the exits for I-80, where I had just been about a week earlier for the Model Y Cannonball Run. I-80 passed just south of Chicago, and once I got cut off by this minivan with no license plate that appeared to be driven by a child, I knew I was almost there. Oh, so much traffic going into Chicago. It's just kind of weird. I thought in the afternoons, traffic is supposed to go out of the city and this is going in. But there's a lot of communities and so forth. Yeah, my stomping grounds were pretty much the north side, so that's where I'm going after finishing up. Traffic would get better as I started to see interstate numbers that were at least somewhat familiar to me. As exits became more numerous and closer together, I wondered how I was ever able to do this without GPS back in the day. Eventually, I would encounter the furthest reaches of the Chicago train system before the iconic skyline finally came into view. I was on my way to the beautiful Lakeshore Drive, which traverses the eastern border of the city with Lake Michigan. As I approached the lake, the skies would open up and I start one of the most beautiful drives in the whole country. I'm often asked why I enjoy the outdoors so much, and while one would think that it's to appreciate nature, oftentimes hiking and camping make me appreciate modern civilization even more. While nature is beautiful, it's hostile and unforgiving. Seeing marvels like the city of Chicago make me appreciate humanity and just how much we as a species have achieved in our time as mere mortals on this earth.
All right. Using traffic-aware cruise control on the Lakeshore Drive. I don't know why anyone wants to rush going through this unless you do this for your daily commute or something. But the best drive. So it's only it's 1 mile to the thing, but it's 10 minutes. Where the hell is this sign?
Now turn left onto East Adams Street.
Okay, is that it? Okay, that's the sign right there. Ugh. There. Does that count? If I could park easily, I'll go and take a picture by it. But we'll see. It's not looking great. I'm counting it though, so that is 1,785 miles official from Holbrook, Arizona. The real distance I'll put over to the side here. 5.528 on the Hertz donut. Take a note of consumption and all that stuff. So we're counting it. On the Wilco album covers, of course. Album cover, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot.
Now that Route 66 was finished, I'm now on a brief trip down memory lane. It was hard for me to believe that it would be almost 15 years since I had left Chicago, and though it's cliche to say it, this really is a special place. I remembered unforgettable summers fragranced by the sweet, humid air, and even remembered fondly the harsh winters that somehow made you feel more alive. Thinking of my journey, I'm reminded that it's not just the existence of cities like Chicago that make America great, it's also the fact that anyone in the country could come and live here if they chose. Traveling Route 66 reminded me that anything truly is possible in America. If you come from the city and want to live more simply, you can. If you live in the country but want to pursue big dreams, you could come to the city and give it a fair shot. Beyond the resources and logistics needed to move, it would require above all courage. You'll have to, as David Bowie once sung, turn and face the strange.
Now we're headed up to Evanston, where I lived for a very long time.
I'm now on my way to my alma mater, where I had some of the best times of my life, though I shuddered a bit thinking of how much of a cringy edgelord I was back in the day.
I kind of feel bad for these poor fuckers. Real life is so much less fun than what's going on here right now.
Before making my final stop, I thought back on why I left Chicago in the first place. By the time I left, I was 4 years out of college, spending most of my time trying to make it big in music. I recorded an album, played around the city, but ultimately had no success. In short, I felt like a failure and needed a fresh start. I specifically remember the road trip moving back to Maryland. I had nothing lined up and was nervous because I didn't know what the future would hold. I imagine Route 66 travelers must have felt the same thing. I think that's what's magical about road trips. Oftentimes we don't know why we hit the road, we don't know what it is we're looking for. However, it's a great big world out there, and if you approach strange lands with a bit of humility, you will oftentimes find kindness, and I guarantee you, whatever it is you're looking for will be found.
So, this is where I would bike to when, like, I mean, I'm not of the Baha'i faith, but I would come here and check out this place because it's so cool. Damn. So I'm here in Wilmette, which is on the North Shore, and it's a really lovely, there's only like 7 of these kinds of temples in the world, and the grounds are just absolutely beautiful. Who funds this shit, like, for real? I'm gonna hang out in Evanston a little bit. I'm just gonna walk around, go to, you know, I lived there for a long time and I love the place, special place in my heart. I'm just gonna walk around for a little bit. But around 6 or 7 at night, I should be heading back to Maryland. Overnight Tesla road trip from Chicago to the Washington, D.C. area. So I can't believe this is concluding. Route 66 done, Cannonball Run is done. And hard to believe it's almost gonna be over.
So yeah, sorry, there's no real conclusion, just be at peace and thanks so much for watching.